Another edition of Riding Home here on Dog Post. Today we're going to go into who the biggest challenge is for Georgia in the SEC East. I think it's the Tennessee Vols. I'm going to go straight to Matt. Tell me what you think.
I think it's clearly Tennessee. I think
Yeah.
they're a team I think will take a small step back. If Milton's the quarterback, I don't think he's a Hendon Hooker type. As good as they were last year, even though they did fall apart in embarrassing fashion against South Carolina, they're going to have a good team. I think they'll be better than Missouri and Florida and Kentucky still. I think those programs still have a little bit of work to do. I don't know if Florida's going to get better. I think South Carolina could get better, even though they lost a lot to the transfer portal. Kentucky is losing their starting quarterback. Missouri's Missouri. So I do think Tennessee still is that number two, team in the SEC East right now, Ryan.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
Ryan, just real quick, he didn't even mention Vanderbilt. So
Yeah.
oh man, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I think the obvious answer is Tennessee. Josh Heupel, I think, has done a good job in a short amount of time with that program. I think there's definitely excitement around what Joe Milton can do as the starter. We'll see. He definitely has a cannon at the very least. But Florida, where are they at right now? Missouri as a program, Kentucky. I mean, you're going from Will Levis to Devin Leary. I don't know how much that really changes anything. It still seems like a 7-5 team to me. And South Carolina, I could see them continuing to get better as a program. Are they going to be better than 8-4 and beat Georgia? I doubt it.
all right, listen, if you like this sweatshirt, it's gotten very cold in Georgia these days. Make sure you're picking up. The link is right down below. I've already said this now. If you do not order the book by Sunday at 11:59, you're not getting confetti. We've done the full confetti audit. These guys know what I'm talking about. Y'all want to explain what happened in the hotel room when we got back? You can tell me right. Or we can talk about that right in a second here. But the Vols on the cover, Stetson. This is an in-depth look at the 2022 season, and pick it up before midnight on, or excuse me, 11:59 p.m. Sunday night, or you're not going to get it. If you like the sweatshirt, it's from our friends at Red Zone. The link's down below. Real quick recap of the confetti. Matt, did you see it in our room? I know Ryan did.
I went to sleep pretty quick that
Oh,
night. I do
okay.
not remember what y'all did
Did,
with it.
Okay,
did
go
we
ahead,
take a
Ryan.
Did we take a picture of it? I don't think I took a picture of it.
Oh, that was a mistake.
It was the confetti was wet because of the weird design flaw in SoFi. So the
Right.
confetti soaking wet, and we took it out of all the
Gotcha.
Ziploc bags and laid it all out across the hotel room, across the beds, all over the floor.
Oh, across
Um,
the bed. I
there's a
forgot
lot
about that.
that there's a lot that went into it. So if you ordered on time, they gave you confetti, then you should be really appreciative.
And no love was made on the confetti on the beds. Just to my knowledge, Ryan. Wow, Matt.
Yep.
Ryan's not even going to talk about that. I don't.
Uh,
I don't. I think the problem for Georgia in terms of Tennessee is they got to go up there. I'll go back to Ryan. You've been up to Neyland. It's tough to play up there.
yeah, it gets really loud. You think the building is going to just start falling all over itself. It definitely is hard to play. 2 years ago, when we went up there, you could see how the environment affected the game early on. Georgia got
Yeah.
slapped in the face. They got scored on early. That was the most points scored against them in the regular season was up there in Neyland, I think 17,
Is that right?
for the historic defense. I'm pretty sure. And I just don't think their team is going to be better than it was last year. They're losing a lot of talent. I know that there's excitement around Joe Milton, but there's a reason why Hooker was starting over him. And there's like Joe Milton had the opportunity before in the years prior, and it was still Hooker. So I think as a program, they're moving in the right direction. Are they going to win 10 games next year? I haven't looked at their schedule, but I think that'd be tough for them to do with what they're losing. They're not quite the machine that Georgia is when you lose all of that, or the machine that Alabama is where you lose all that talent and you could just go out and win 11, 12 games again.
Matt.
Yeah, they've had some battles up there before, but Georgia's taking care of business. The last time they lost, Dean, was 2015. The last time they lost up there,
At
20.
Neyland is
Yeah,
the only time they've lost at Neyland this past 15 years has been in 15, right? Because 11 they beat them 20 to
low
12.
scoring.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and then overtime in 13. 15 was a comeback, which was a train wreck. Grayson
That
Lambert,
Grayson Lambert
just
massive
not.
pass down the field should have won that game. But
Yeah,
then
but
17,
he just
Georgia
was not.
blanked them. So
He was not consistent in that game. 17, 19 was 19 and 21 show you how. I'm sorry, Matt, to
you're
jack your
good.
segment here, but 19 and 21 shows you how tough it can be to play up there because they really get on top of you. But I think, Matt, you've been up to Neyland plenty of times. It's a really challenging place to play. Go ahead, Matt, and I'm going to fill everybody in on their schedule. It's not the most daunting thing on earth.
No, I think there's not really a schedule for a team in the SEC, especially, even Georgia, where the schedule is not daunting at all. But going back to Neyland, they are on top of you. It's very big. And it seems like, the crowd is a little rowdier at night. I think there was, especially in the first quarter, second quarter, but I think more often than not, the team with the more talent is going to win that game. And Georgia is the more talented team. I've said this in another video too. They're just so deep. The young guys who played a lot last year are going to be, impact guys and turn into national names across the country. So they're very deep, very talented in 2023, and they could be rolling at this part in the season. It's towards the very end. I think the SEC East is going to be up for grabs unless Tennessee blows it earlier in the year. But this is the game that everyone's already circled that Georgia might be in trouble. This is the game that they could go down the regular season. But at the end of the day, they're going to be more talented and they're going to be deeper. And, those two are, major factors when playing on the road in the SEC. So we'll see what happens.
So I think the East will get decided that weekend, just very quickly looking at Tennessee's schedule. I mean, I don't see a loss for Georgia before then, Ryan, but here's Tennessee's schedule. They don't host Virginia, but they play Virginia in Nashville. I'm assuming at Nissan, and then they host Austin Peay. They go to the Gators. They'll win that game. And then they play Texas San Antonio. They host South Carolina and then get a week off before Texas A&M. This is their toughest stretch. They go Carolina at home, off, host A&M, go to Alabama, loss. They go to Kentucky. They should win that game. Then they host Connecticut. They go to Missouri. They should win that game. They host Georgia, and then they host Vanderbilt. There's not a lot of losses on their schedule for what they are right now, Ryan.
Yeah, but I think they'll drop one of those games other than Alabama. I don't know which one it'll be, but when you're in a stretch like that and you're not an elite team, it's hard to win every single game. So I think, it could be at Kentucky. It could be at Florida, whichever. One of those games, true. I think they'll probably end up losing just because, that whole receiving core that mattered so much, that whole core that you were predicated on this past, that's just gone. They have to work with something new.
Does anyone? All right, let's go 3-2-1. Okay? We know how this game is played. 3-2-1. Does Tennessee beat Georgia in Knoxville? 3-2-1.
No.
Okay. Yeah, I don't think so either. So, but I do think they are well, let's do this then. Let's do a 3-2-1. Maybe I'll be quicker this time. I don't know if we're on delay or not. Let's do 3-2-1. Does Florida beat Tennessee in the swamp? 3-2-1. No.
Yes.
No.
I'm gonna go yes. Oh. I'm just gonna say something weird's gonna happen down there.
What?
I do think Florida's gonna be bad though. I do think Florida's really bad. I just don't think Tennessee is going to be as good as they were this past season, and they got to drop.
I don't doubt. I'm not disputing that, but where are you coming with the Gators from?
It's just a bold prediction far out in the future, man. It doesn't have a lot of basis on it. But look, last year, they really struggled with them, and they were a way better team than them. So why wouldn't they struggle with them again if they're both getting worse? It's the same thing to me.
This has become a lot about Tennessee, but let me just ask this: when you look back at the Vols' schedule, and they really played well against Kentucky. They had an overtime win over Pitt. Obviously, the loss to Georgia. They had a 3-point win over Alabama that they probably should have lost that game, but they won it, so they get credit for that. How close were they to more like a 4-loss season, Matt? And do they get penalized for that, or because they're new, does no one really want to recognize that sort of stuff? I think they were really one of the best teams in the country, frankly, but they were teetering on some losses that they didn't take because they dug them out.
Yeah, they Tennessee'd themselves at the end. All they had to do was beat Carolina, and they're in the Final Four. And even though they're without Hendon Hooker, they could probably have beaten Tennessee I
What,
think.
what,
But I mean TCU. I mean,
hey, let me ask you this, y'all. Matt, do you think that Tennessee with Hendon Hooker plays for the national championship if they had beaten South Carolina? Looking back on everything,
I mean that's sure. Why not?
right?
I think they could.
But that's assuming they would have been matched up with TCU.
Yeah, let's knock Ohio State out of it and do a Michigan Tennessee thing. I mean, the thing about what Kirby and Josh Heupel and all these guys do, you have to win those tight games, right? I mean, like I'm asking questions that are kind of complicated, but I don't think they would win the national championship. They could have played for the national championship, though. Is it?
I think they would have lost to Michigan. I think that what happened with Michigan TCU was really weird. I do think
Yeah,
Michigan was the better football team. TCU just came out on top that day. I think Michigan probably would have. I thought Michigan was the second best team in the country towards the end of it, if not Ohio State.
I think so too.
So I think they would have. I think they would have beaten Tennessee.
Well, that's who we think the biggest test to the dogs is. If you do not get your order in for double dogs before Sunday at 11:59, you are not getting confetti.